Okay, you gonna tell me why you doing that? What you doing that for? What you doing that for? Hello. Hi. Hi. Happy day. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Miriam. I am a numerologist. I am an intuitive. I speak with angels. I listen to your guides and I deliver messages. So if you see my face, it is 6:55 in the morning. Um, and the plan was to just, not make a video today. Um, because nothing, I wasn't dreaming of anything that was too like repetitive. It was kind of like just like a very chill night. Then I'm sitting here and I really remembered some things. This is it's funny because I couldn't remember words because I could only remember an energy. I could only remember a feeling from the dream. Um, and they want you to know how specific this is for you. Like, not very many people will know what this even means. Cause honestly, I don't know what some of it means. I'm gonna go based off of my intuition and what the guides are giving me. Okay, enough footing around. I got the word muse from this essence. Muse. How like you're a muse for people. You inspire people to do things, whether it's inspiring them to be even if they're jealous of you, you're inspiring them to be a better version of themselves somehow. Like if you're really talented in art, then people might be like, "What? Well, now I want to be that good," and then they practice extra hard. So that's cool. You do that. Also, people kind of look at your life. The things that you do share, when you do share them, you don't share them a lot because honestly, a little bit, okay, this is going to sound a little messed up, but a little bit, you don't want people to know what you're going through too much because you don't want anyone to know that you are one, vulnerable or weak. You don't want to be weak in front of people, but also because the stuff that you've been through can be considered so objectively thumbs down, okay? Not to use harsh language here. Um, that almost like you win the pain Olympics every time. And honestly, it seems like when you do share about your story, it does feel like that every time anyway. Like, because people want to share their pain. And so when you have shared your pain, even though you haven't been the one who is necessarily comparing, sometimes when you share it with other people, they you're they're like, oh well, what happened to me was nothing, and you're like, no, that was the worst thing that ever happened to you in your whole life. And they're like, yeah, but what happened in your life was like way worse. And so now, one, you've been told that your life was worse. So love hearing that. Thanks, thank you. But objectively, like, no, let's not do that again. Okay? If you had the choice to go around it again, I don't know if necessarily you would choose those exact things. And like when it comes to these beliefs that you're showing in people, like your positivity and like your still drive is stuff that's inspiring people to still drive past. They're like, dang. And I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not. They're like, it could be worse. And it's not okay that they're doing that because they still have pain, you know? But it is a very common phrase. I recommend y'all checking out Cat Shores um, out of New Jersey there. Yeah. Anyway, yes. There's a book called It Could Have Been Worse. And that's literally about trauma. Whenever people are tortured in ways that they don't realize is torture. Like even just like being pestered verbally or being ignored a couple times. Like heartbreak is heartbreak and no baby deserves that. And you're a baby. We're all babies. Um, and somehow, despite people saying stuff like, that like people tend to say stuff like innocence is lost and all that when things have happened to people. Um, but I highly disagree with that statement because you were not guilty of anything. A child is not guilty. They are learning, they are figuring it out. They don't know. And then they're being subjected to situations that honestly just like grown-ups haven't figured their shit out yet. They're still kids just raising kids. They're angry, so they're yelling or they're throwing things or they're hitting or the whatever, the many things that happen in the world. And then it comes to this psychological thing there too, this spiritual pain that people have been missing, or that not necessarily missing the pain, but a little bit missing the pain of growth, of spiritual growth, because that's how it came out. Spiritual pain that they're missing. It's a growing pain, and so many people are atrophying their spirit. And it is not necessarily something that they can't fix. It just takes some spiritual therapy, baby. Because when it comes down to it, and then when it goes on up to it, this is kind of your purpose. Like your energy when you're with people, then like soaks into that dry Sahara desert. Keep wanting to say sponge. Like SpongeBob when he was real dry. But just a drop, honestly, and how it soaks into the sponge, just like exactly right there in it. And it comes up, hello? Me? But all the rest of the sponge is still dry. I'm talking about those kind of, what type of sponges I'm talking about, or you don't, and that's okay, because it's not that's okay. This one isn't for you. That's allowed. Not everything is for everybody. So whenever you are around, your spirit is around people, it's like you're quenching a thirst spiritually for them, whether or not you realize it, because you don't just like hang around people. You're not a nice person. Hello, you're rude. Okay, and I don't like you. No. But you're not a nice person. You're a kind person. You're kind to people. And people often might mistake that as weakness. But like as soon as like you realize that people are then draining you, you will just remove yourself from that situation because you have a lot of respect for yourself, which I hope that you're seeing, because I think there's a lot of times where you may not have a lot of trust in yourself. But I'm letting you know right now, look at how many times you've respected yourself in your life by removing yourself from situations that were no longer serving you. Okay, going back. Sponge. Oh yeah, but you remind people that they have a purpose. Not necessarily by telling them the purpose, but by showing them what it feels like to have their spirit hydrated, to have their soul supple. A supple soul? Y'all nasty. Anyway, because before that soul was just sitting there laying there being a dry sponge. Just dry. And now it's like, oh, I could be so much more, and I can be weighty. I mean, maybe the sponge don't want to do that. We haven't talked to the sponge. I ain't talking to the sponge about it. I don't know. Maybe the sponge will tell me what numbers. Anyway, next up is making your light small, which kind of goes into what I was saying. You are like a lot of times you're making your light small because you don't want people to be upset with about how great you are. I'm gonna say it out loud. I'm saying it out loud for you right now because I can see the energy coming out of you. And I can feel it. I know for a fact, and like the problem is that a lot of times people make that out to be like you being prideful or conceited or vain or something like that. So you might not want to say those things out loud. I'm gonna let you know right now, you saying those things out loud is like you just talking about the things like the accomplishments you've had in life, like your job title, how many years have I worked as this, how many that it's a resume. It simply is who you are. So, like why are you ashamed of who you are? Anyway. 11:11 as I say this, but anyway, I don't necessarily think you're full of shame. I think that sometimes the way that it is more than anything is like you feel secondhand embarrassment from other people. Um, and so because you're feeling that secondhand embarrassment whenever they're feeling some type of shame or something, you almost make it your own shame. Like you feel other people's shame. I'm sorry, but that's like literally none of your business. You have a gift that you haven't honed. So you're constantly being bombarded with stuff, and then you're so gifted that you don't even know who is who. Who's feeling that? I'll let you know who's feeling that. It's not you're feeling it, but it's not you because guess what? Your emotions don't attack you, right? Because anytime you have an emotion, there's an explanation as to why that emotion happened. There's a thought, there's an action, there's a visual. If none of that's going on, I guarantee you're feeling somebody else's feelings. And a lot of times you're making yourself, your light dimmed because you're like, oh, well, I can see that this person has insecurities. And whenever I start to shine, they kind of go, it's fine, I love your light. But they haven't figured out that they actually love your light yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, as I say this. They know that they're supposed to. Otherwise, it makes them a bad person, and they're trying to not be somebody who's disrupting something. These are things that you understand because you are empathetic, and you also know that you don't want to be disrupted and hurting people's feelings and all that, and you're trying to be cool too. Everybody trying to be cool. Let's just be cool. Um, but I'm letting you know. Look, you're gonna make people uncomfortable with the light. Sometimes we gotta cut the lights on, and it's just too bright. I just was sleeping. And why would you throw the lights on so fast? But it's okay. Because eventually. And you're fine. You're looking in the light. It was jarring for a little bit, but it's fine. Lastly, fertilize. Really, it's for the light. That's what was written down here. Oh, because light and fertilize, I think. Anyway, excuse me. Fertilize it. Your light fertilizes. Um, so, I mean, you don't need too much of it. But you need enough of it to feed everybody. I don't, I don't really be planting, so, but not too much because it's bad for the plants too. I'm pretty sure. Anywho, it is really something that is stimulating to people, and it is something that helps them blossom. Because what I do know about little fertilizers things is that when you put them in like a pepper plant, you do it whenever there's flowers in the pepper plant, to help promote blooming. So then it'll eventually turn into peppers, a good haul of peppers. Each flower turns into a pepper. And so you don't use them all the time. You don't use fertilizer all the time, which means you don't have to work all the time. So why are you? You should, like, it's not work to shine your light. I promise you, it's not, and you know that. All the work is you literally to keep it in. Did you hear me? All the work that you're using is to keep your light in. What a waste of energy, you know? Anyway, that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna send you so much love. All as always. I'm gonna do whatever I end up doing today. In the meantime, lovies, you keep a lookout for the numbers, and you stay secret.